Hi, my name is Steven, and I'm doing my Why I Love This project on Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. This film was released in 2014 and is directed and written by Alejandro Inarritu, and the cinematographer is Emmanuel Lubezki. It stars Michael Keaton as a lead and co-stars Zach Galifianakis, Edward Norton, Andrew Riseborough, Amy Ryan, Emma Stone, and Naomi Watts. I love this film purely on a technical level. It is absolutely impeccable. The lighting, the sound design, and of course the way it was filmed are all just absolutely insane. So for those of you who have not seen Birdman or don't know about Birdman's shtick or gimmick, is that it was filmed in a way to make it look like one continuous shot. There are no obvious cuts, there are no obvious wipes, and the effect feels like the whole movie was filmed on one camera, essentially. The camera itself has this free flow and improvisational style to it. It's not really a gimmick as some other people like to think it is, and the movie is following this plot of an artist putting on a play. And this style of camera very much makes the movie feel like a play. In a play, you don't get hard cuts except for in between acts or scenes. So you're sitting there as an audience watching it all from one perspective. You don't get hard cuts between character interactions. You get one look at the stage. The camera is not always moving, but it follows and it zooms. It gets right up into the actor's personal space. The camera work is able to capture every bit of drama and dialogue that each actor and actress pours out onto the screen. At some points, you have huge conversations between multiple characters, and the camera will move its way around the scene to highlight the peaks and the valleys of the conversations. When the characters are acting on stage, the camera often spins around the table in which they are talking around, as if we're moving from line to line in the page of the script they are reading from. The camera feels like a character in the film. It feels like a bystander, someone who has no control over the situation they're in, but are actively involved with it. The cinematographer Emmanuel Lubezki did such a phenomenal job with this film, going on with not just the way they're shot, but the way it looks. There's so many colors. It's a bright film. The most memorable for me is when Riggin is buying booze after talking to the critic about his play. The liquor store is lined with chili-shaped lights in all different colors, a stark contrast to the situation that he is in. Along with the cinematography and the lighting and the acting, I absolutely adore the score for this film. It is insane. It is so hard to talk about because it is so innovative and interesting. The film mainly relies on two different types of music. There is jazz drums, and there is classical sweeping orchestral styles here. During heated conversations and intense character moments, we hear smatterings of jazz drums. They complement the rhythm of the dialogue and of the life of the characters that they follow. I remember there's this one scene in which Riggin is extremely upset, and he's walking down the hall, and you have this really driving jazz drum going on, and he gets so mad, and the drums kind of roll on the snare and hit the cymbals multiple times, and as that's going on, Riggin is slamming in the side of the wall out of anger, and so you see this mimicking from the music of the jazz drums that's mimicking the life of the characters and the situations that they're in. Along with this, the second score is classical strings. It is whimsical and beautiful. It is a classic Hollywood-style score that lifts up whatever is going on. I love the contrast between the jazz drum score and its punctual conversation-like style. I love how it literally lines up to the cadences of the lines being spoken in the film. It is anxious and rhythmic, and it lends itself to the improvisatory feel of the movie. But then you also have the sweeping classical score that allows for more emotion. It allows for an implied sense of like uplifting or whimsy that you don't get from the jazz drum score, and it really helps punctuate Riggin's change in like character and feeling and emotion over time. How a lot of the beginning of the film is punctuated by this realistic, choppy jazz drum percussion, and as he starts to spiral emotionally, the film score that is more whimsical picks up and kind of becomes more prevalent. Riggin just trying to prove himself throughout this story as a true artist, and he wants the adoration that he used to get, but not in the same way. He craves the recognition that he got, but not as the superstar, as a legend, as an actor, and as an artist. As for the overall story itself, I absolutely love it. It dives into themes about adoration, art, meaning, work, family, criticism, entertainment, and a bunch of others. And as an artist myself, I can't relate to Riggins' desire to overcome his past of being a superstar, but I do relate to his struggles to be recognized as an artist. He is a very vocal and dynamic character as well. He has this one monologue to a critic who tells Riggins she's going to destroy his play because he didn't work like the other artists on Broadway to get where he is, and he doesn't deserve a good review because he comes from the land of big budgets and millions of dollars and not true acting. To which he responds that her criticism is nothing but labels. There's no depth to her criticism. She doesn't look at the performances and the structure. It's all buzzwords and labels. I love this monologue because as people, we really rely on labels. I have used labels plenty of times, even in assignments for this class, which is, it's wrong. Watching this film again for this project made me rediscover how important it is to look at everything in depth and not just try to use labels. Try to analyze things for their structure, for their meaning, for their purpose. It comes especially with the burger when we talked about how we look at photos based on the context of where we are and where the context of where the photo was taken. It's so easy to look at something and label it with an initial perception, and then just have that be locked in as what it is forever. And I think that this commentary and criticism on how it's so easy to just be cynical and be mean without looking at the art and just by putting labels on it is just very shallow when art in itself is very deep. I love this film because of its statements and its mystery. Every time I have shown this film to someone new, we spend hours afterwards talking about it. Not only are these greater outside themes exciting to talk about, but the characters themselves are so riveting and dynamic that I love to talk about certain actions that they have and what they mean to the more ambiguous parts of the film. I love this film's ingenuity. It feels like everything just happened, but it was so meticulously planned in every aspect. Every shot, light, sound, and line of dialogue is purposeful. This movie is fairly ambiguous with its later plot points, and I love that it does not tell you everything. It just shows you. It lets you think. It lets you formulate your own opinion. But overall, I love this film because it's funny and entertaining, but it's also dramatic and intriguing. It has defined statements about our pop culture and lives, but it also leaves a lot of thinking up to the viewer. It is a very in-depth and a very purposeful and artistically made film, and I love Birdman or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance.